Turkish Getup time. Let's have a lot of fun and learn this fairly complicated, involved movement. When you're learning how to do the Turkish Getup, one of the important pieces that we want to keep in mind is that the arm that's overhead stays directly over the shoulder at all times, meaning at no point does it drop forward or backwards. And one way we can train ourselves to do that is instead of using a weight that we're holding, you can use some type of flat object. Just got a tablet here, and I put it on top of my hands. I'm making sure that my fingers are not wrapped around, because then I can obviously move it all around. But if I have my fingers flat on the bottom surface, if it slides away from that stacked position, it is going to slide forward and fall. So typically people would use like a yoga block or a shoe. You can do it with a fist to be even more strict. So lots of little ways to train this arm position overhead. Once you've got that, you can start progressing up to a dumbbell. So let's get into the movement. I've got one arm stacked straight up, and this arm is always pushing the weight to the ceiling. The same side leg is bent, 90 degrees, flat on the floor. The other side of the body, both limbs are flat and straight. A good reference point, if you have like lines or you're using a mat or something like that, on lines on the floor or a mat, then you can use one of the lines as a reference point. Your hip and this hand should be on that same line that's crossing the body or dissecting the body into two. So flat arm, about 45 degrees off the body, in line with the hip. And then from here, we start the movement. I'm going to push through this heel. That's going to roll my body. And I'm going to get up to this elbow. Keeping the spine nice and long, this arm is always over the shoulder. Now this hand was on the line and it stays on the line as I go up to the hand. The tendency here is to put the arm back. And if we're just doing a half Turkish Getup, which is just driving the hips here and then back down, that's fine. But if we're going all the way up, we want to keep the hand in line with the hips. From here, we're going to drive the hips forward. And then we're going to pull the hips to the side and get my knee underneath my hip. So you can see here, I've got lots of stacked positions. This is stacked over my shoulder. My left shoulder is stacked over my hand. The knee on my left leg is stacked under my hip. And my right leg is a nice 90 degrees position. From here, I'm just going to square my body up. So I'm in a half kneeling position, stand up, and then we reverse the movement back down. So knee goes down to the floor. I'm going to put my hand on the same line as my knee. So we keep using that same line as reference. And then I'm going to kick my foot through, lower the hips down, bring the elbow to the ground, and control the torso back to where I started. So again, drive to the heel, rolling up to the elbow. Keep the hand in place. Bring the elbow up, drive the hips forward, pull them back, get the knee on that same line as the hand, square the body up, stand up, knee goes on the line, hand goes on the line, kick through, hips on the line, elbow down, and we're back to the start. So there's a lot with that exercise. We might start with just a half Turkish Getup, which is the hip drive portion, and not bringing the knee under. We might even just do a quarter Getup, which is just getting up to the hand and not getting the hips off the floor at all. So just work on what you feel is a level of progression that's appropriate for you. Don't worry about heavy weights until you can manage a good number of reps, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row with the weight that you're doing, and you don't feel like that arm is all over the place. Of course, got to do both sides, and that is the Turkish Getup.